Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to start by saying thank you to our colleague from Edmonton Strathcona for ensuring that this debate happens today. I also want to thank her for centering the implications on all civilians, whether those are Lebanese civilians, Israeli civilians, or Palestinian. In her speech, she spoke about the need for de-escalation and diplomacy. Obviously, there's a role for the Canadian government in that diplomatic effort. I wonder if she could elaborate on what she would like to see from this government to do better when it comes to moving forward our role on the world stage towards those diplomatic solutions that, as she said, there is a sliver of opportunity remaining for.
The honourable member from Edmonton Strathcona.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to thank my colleague for that question, because I think that's what we're here debating today, and there are some very important steps that the government could take. You know, Canada has a long history of being, as I said in my speech, not just peacekeepers, but peace builders, and playing that role with diplomacy. We are a G7 country. We have the ability to use our diplomatic tools at our disposal to work with our allies and bring things forward. Some of the key pieces that I think need to be done. Right now, there needs to be an arms embargo. We need to ensure that no arms are getting to either side of the combatants that are using them against innocent civilians. And we know that there are loopholes in that need to be closed. We should be using our sanctions effectively to sanction Netanyahu and those within his administration. You know, we have seen sanctions on Hamas. Absolutely, we support that, and frankly, we don't need them because they are a listed terrorist organization already. Any member is a listed terrorist organization. We also need to support the ICC and the ICJ, the International Criminal Justice System, not only in certain cases, but in all cases.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to start by sharing how much I agree with the member for Wellington-Halton Hills on the importance of the rules-based order. Appreciate his focus on international humanitarian law. Agree with him on condemning Hamas for their terrorist attack of October the 7th. But my question to him is about all parties following international humanitarian law. He was looking for examples earlier. I'll cite with him some here. Amnesty International, January 2019, quote, Israel's policy of settling its civilians in occupied Palestinian territory and displacing the local population contravenes fundamental rules of international humanitarian law. That was prior to October 7th. If he's looking for post-October 7th, January 26th, the International Court of Justice ordered Israel to take actions, 6, to prevent acts of genocide. Clearly, we would agree that's against international humanitarian law. Is he going to call for international humanitarian law to be followed by all parties or only some?
The honourable member from Wellington-Halton Hills.
Mr. Speaker, first, I want to thank the member for the question. Second, the International Court of Justice did not find that Israel had committed genocide. It just asked the State of Israel to comply with the 1948 Genocide Convention, which Israel is in the process, Israel has been doing. Secondly, with respect to Amnesty International's interpretation of international humanitarian law, I disagree, and with their interpretation of the facts on the ground. At the end of the day, there have been no credible reports that I have read that indicate that the State of Israel has committed war crimes or has had grave breaches of customary international law. What I do know is that the terrorist group Hamas, in taking the hostages, some 250 hostages last October 7th, did commit war crimes. That is obviously a war crime. The Hamas, in executing and targeting some 1,100 innocent civilians, also committed war crimes. Those are findings that I think the international community has agreed to, that adhere to Hamas, and for which they should be held responsible.